people are always going to be worth the risk. And when I say that, I mean that people are always worth taking a chance on, because you never truly know what they could add to your life. The value they could bring, what happiness they can bring out of you, what side of yourself they can help you discover that you didn't previously know before. A lot of us have been hurt in our past. A lot of us have been through certain experiences that makes us never want to put ourselves in certain situations ever again. It makes us no longer want to be vulnerable. It makes us not want to trust people anymore. It makes us not want to express certain our past experiences or our past events in our life, because we're afraid of what people might do with that information. And I used to be like this too, where I would hold myself back, hold my feelings back. I would hold my emotions in and never express myself. And it would really just eat me up inside, because what I've come to realize is that relationships, whether intimate, whether just friendships, is so important that you find people who you're able to express yourself to, because when you hold everything in, at times you can almost become your worst enemy. At times it's like when you get in these emotional states, you start talking to yourself in certain ways that don't really help you. When you're sad or you're doubting yourself or you're living in regret, you start talking negatively to yourself. And it's like sometimes you have to have people around you that are able to think in a complete different perspective and complete different mindset, and bring you back to like positivity, or bring you back to yourself at times. Because again, sometimes we get away from ourselves and we need the people closest to us to remind us of who we are. But what you have to realize is that everybody will always be at risk. Whether you have a best friend in your life right now, whether you're in a relationship in your life right now, you at some point in time took a risk on that. You took a risk on building trust with them. You took a risk on expressing certain experiences, expressing your past to them. And it was a risk. They could have taken that information and done anything with it. For some of y'all, they might have done anything with it, whether that's a good or bad thing. That risk or that worst case scenario is always there. And I feel like a lot of y'all are in this constant state where you never want to feel again, where it's like you're holding yourself back from experiencing new people, experiencing new experiences, because you never want to get hurt again. You never want people to see a different side of you, to understand a certain side of you, because you're afraid of what they might think of it, what they might do with that information. And like I said, that's really just gonna hold you back from meeting the people who truly help you grow into the best version of you. There's always that chance that people could hurt us. There's always that chance that people don't turn out to be the person we expected them to be. There's always a chance that people aren't the person that they say they actually are. There's always the chance that you invest all this time, all this energy, all these different emotions, all these different feelings into a person or a thing, and then one day it all just collapses and it seems like it was all a waste. That's always a possibility. That's always a chance. But you can't allow all those possible different factors to stop you from taking a chance on people or taking a chance on relationships and getting to experience new people and new things in this world. Because just as much as the worst case scenario is possible, the best case scenario is just as possible. There's a chance that person could be the greatest person you ever take a chance on in your life, and they add so much value to your life, and they bring you so much happiness, and they help you to understand a different side of yourself that you didn't previously know. They help grow you into a better version of yourself. It's like there's so many endless possibilities when you take a risk on people, and there's always going to be pros and cons. There's always going to be that possibility of you getting hurt. There's always going to be that possibility of getting your expectations disappointed. And you have to always see that risk as worth it, because if you allow yourself to constantly live in fear of feeling and constantly living in the fear of what could be, then again, you'll never truly get that full experience of life and meet the people who are really for you. So many people talk about how they don't want to get in relationships, or they don't ever want to do anything serious because being serious requires you to put in effort, put in energy, actually express your emotions, actually be vulnerable, actually have uncomfortable conversations. A lot of people are so afraid of all these different feelings and all these different moments in time, to the point that it holds them back from ever experiencing what they actually want to experience. One thing I've realized is that when you hold yourself back in fear, you usually are holding yourself back from something that you actually want. That's something that you actually want to take a chance on, something that actually sparks your interest, whether that's a person or whether that's just a goal of yours. With people, it's like when you have interactions with people, they spark your interest. It's like whether you want to invest more time into them, whether it's like you want to build trust with them, build a relationship with them, whatever. But then we get in our own heads and we create all these different scenarios that holds us back from actually going after what we want. What I like to tell people is that you can either deal with the possible pain that comes with taking these risks on certain people and investing yourself into different relationships and stuff like that, or you could deal with the guaranteed pain of living in regret for not going after what you want. And trust me, I'm one to experience both sides. I'm one to experience, holding myself back from going after what I want, and I'm one to experience actually taking that risk and it kind of regretting taking the risk, not liking the result I got out of the situation, or not liking the outcome, or that worst case possible scenario actually happening. I think both sides can be just as painful, but it's like when you go for what you want, sometimes you don't live in regret because you understand that you went for what you wanted. There's almost like this thing of where you build trust within yourself when you actually go after the things you want in life. Whether it turns out to be what you wanted it to be, or whatever happens, is actually what you wanted to happen. There's this satisfaction, or there's this knowing in your mind where it's like, I took a chance. It may not have turned out how I wanted it to, but it's like I took the chance to actually find out, rather than living in fear and allowing my own possible expectations or possible scenarios I made up in my mind to take over and determine my decision. And I think when you could get to a point where it's like you can live with whatever results you get, knowing that you made the decision that you felt was best for you, or made the decision that you wanted to make for yourself, I think that's always a positive that could be taken away. Because in almost everything in life, you never truly know until you take the chance to find out. What we have to realize is that a lot of the times our fears are made up in our mind from our own past experiences, but I feel like sometimes you have to realize when you're allowing your past events and your past experiences to automatically become your future ones. And you have to become aware of that. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody comes with that intention to hurt you. Not everybody is bad at communication. Not everybody is bad at expressing themselves. Not everybody's not going to understand you and where you're coming from and your perspective and all these different things. We do a lot of projection, and it makes us almost hold ourselves back from, again, going after what we want in life or experiencing new things in life. A lot of us create our own limits within ourselves and limit ourselves from our own happiness because we literally cut off ourselves from ever experiencing certain things again, whether that's relationships, whether that's being vulnerable, whether that's expressing our feelings. We always say, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to step into this relationship again. I'm never going to do this with this type of person ever again. And it holds us back from ever experiencing good things because we automatically take what was once bad and make that everybody, or make that always the result. Because in my opinion, things like love, things like building genuine relationships and connections and friendships with certain people, I think that's always going to be a risk that's worth taking. And I didn't always have that mindset, but I've grown into that mindset where it's like, there's always that chance that I have to go through that healing journey. And I think there's always that chance that, I could get hurt. I think there's a chance that, it could always possibly be a waste of time, or that, I could build it into something so big just for it to all collapse once and seem like something that was for nothing, essentially. Something that I could have just avoided and not dealt with in the first place. Like, those things are always possible chances. But then again, it's like on the other side, there's a chance that it's one of the best things I ever invest myself into. It's one of the things that can help me truly grow and learn and understand myself better. It's one of the things that, could bring so much value to my life that I didn't even know was capable of bringing that much value into my life. But it's like, I never want to stop taking that chance because of my own fear of the possible worst case scenario outcomes that come with any risk in life, whether that's your business, whether that's your chance on applying for a job, whether that's your chance on, again, relationships. Like, you have to come to an understanding in life that almost everything you do every single day is a risk. Stepping into a car and going on the drive, that is a risk. There's always that chance that you could get in an accident, but there's also the possibility that you make it to your destination safe. And, you know, obviously with certain risks, there's a higher chance at the negative happening than in certain situations, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, everything, almost every choice you make, there's some type of risk that comes with it. And, you know, I think one of the important things I've learned to do is just understand who is and isn't worth that risk. Not necessarily automatically assuming who people are, but, you know, just like becoming more aware and more observant of certain people and making sure they're showing consistency before I take certain risks with them or express certain things to them. You know, I think the more you take risks with certain people, the better you get an understanding of like what risks are possibly worth it, and what you can get a gauge is like the reward you might possibly get out of it isn't worth taking. But, you know, again, that comes with experiences and you constantly taking risks in life and anything you do. But I think you also have to get to a point where it's like you take responsibility for your risk and that you learn to live with your own choices. Like, I think a lot of us, we get in these mindsets where we like to complain and we like to blame everybody but ourselves. We like to blame everybody else for our pain. We like to blame everybody else for our depression. We like to blame everybody else for our suffering, constantly blaming our circumstances, constantly blaming people. You know, sometimes it is people's faults, or sometimes people do hurt us and cause our pain, but it's our responsibility to heal from those situations. You know, somebody might hurt us, but can we expect them to heal us? You know, healing yourself is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to get your life back together. And, you know, you have to understand when you make certain choices and certain decisions, you have to take responsibility for whatever comes out of them, whether that's, again, relationships, again, what you tell certain people. Like, you have to take responsibility for the risks that you take in life. Like, I remember for myself, when I invested in a certain people and I pursued certain people, you know, I literally told myself, you know, I was like, I'm feeling iffy about this and I'm unsure. This has happened in the past with this person, so it could very much so repeat itself, you know, but I'm going to consciously take that risk, and I'm consciously gonna take responsibility for my actions. So whatever happens out of this situation, whether I end up getting hurt in the end, whether it ends up not being what I wanted it to be, whatever comes about from the situation, you know, I take responsibility for that because I know I'm stepping into it by choice. And I think you have to get to that point with your decisions and learn to take responsibility for your life and understand that, again, like, there's always a possibility that things could go right, things could go wrong, but in the end you did what you felt was best for you, or you went after what you wanted for yourself. But I appreciate you guys for tuning into the video. Hope you learned a thing or two. Be sure to join up on the Discord down below in the description. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.